Hey everybody, it is Mark Dolfini, landlord coach. I hope you're having an awesome day. It's been a great day today. I've had a great week. I am got a couple things going on really quick, and then I'm going to get into tonight's topic about networking mistakes to avoid at all costs, because there are some common things that you're doing out there when you're networking, and I want to help you avoid those things. So if you've got any questions, go ahead and type them in. I'm going to try to keep up. I've got you on a couple different screens here between YouTube and the YouTubes and the Facebooks and all that stuff. So really quickly, just a quick update in terms of where I'm going to be. I'm going to be on the National REIA cruise that is embarking on Sunday. Me and my bride are going to go, and I was so grateful to be able to bring my bride because honestly, I would be coming back on the day of our wedding anniversary. So if I didn't bring her, all my stuff would probably be in the yard when I got back. But no, but she's able to come with me, so we'll be doing that. And I am going to be hosting a 4-day event in Indianapolis, in Fishers, actually. So if you're in the local area and you'd like to come to that, please reach out to me directly. You can just email me. I'll make it nice and easy, mark@landlordcoach.com. We can have a one-on-one conversation. I'll tell you what it's about. And if it will suit you, great. It's a tool in my toolbox that can help you. And we can talk about what else I've got going on, if that would be beneficial to you. But I want to enhance your learning the best way. So tonight, I'm going to get right into it. We are talking about avoiding critical mistakes when you are networking. Now, this is going to be directed. I'm going to direct this specifically to a lot of real estate investors I see that show up at your local REIAs. But these are mistakes that I have seen over the course of quite a few years. What I would consider myself to be a professional networker. I mean, I don't do just that. I mean, I think I have to be good at that. But there's so many people that I see that show up at networking events, and they're flat just not prepared. And I see these mistakes happen often. So I want to try to help prevent these for you. If you are in business at all, if you are in small business at all, or if you go to networking events, or if you just think, you know what, networking isn't for me, this isn't for you then. But if you spend a fair amount of time networking, I want to make sure that you are not making these critical mistakes. Normally, I do a top 10 list, a la David Letterman, but I actually have a presentation that is, I'm only going to hit a couple tonight just to kind of keep this brief. But one of the main things that I see when people are entering into, and again, if they're showing up at a networking event, I was helping the local REIA, the Cy REIA. This is Vienna REIA. I was helping them do a speed networking event maybe a couple weeks ago now. And, I was trying to infuse some tips into the speed networking event to try to help people along, because I just saw some common mistakes over and over and over when I had been to events like that before. One of the most common mistakes that I see, and this is just fundamental to anybody that I have seen when they go to a networking event, is what are you trying to accomplish by going to this event? If you're not real specific about what you're trying to accomplish when you go to the networking event in advance, I'd rather you not go. It would almost be better if you just spent some time maybe going through some old emails on people, but maybe you lost track of, because quite frankly, that gives you more impact on your business than just going and showing up to a networking event that you don't even know why you're there. If I would rather, if you're saying, well, I know that my target audience is there, and I know specifically what my ideal client avatar is, then I would show up, right? So for those of you who are just joining, I'm talking about some common networking mistakes to avoid, whether you're in real estate or whether you're outside of real estate. But the first thing is to make sure that you avoid going there without a purpose. If you're just going there for the sake of, okay, hey, I'm going there because they have, wine and beer, and I'm going to eat some free cheese and some, bacon wrapped whatever, fine. That's fine. I'm not going to tell you not to go because of that. But what I am saying is, if you're going to these networking events for the purpose of actually generating business, and you're not going there with a real plan, then I would say, what is it you're trying to accomplish? Are you going there to meet as many people as possible? Okay, well, I would still say that that's maybe a flawed plan, but at least it's better than nothing. If you're going to go there and you're going to, meet as many people as possible and then follow up with them, then I would say, okay, well, that's a better plan than nothing. But a lot of times people are going there with really no understanding of what it is they're trying to accomplish. If I see people going to these real estate investor meetings and they're there to show up and there to network, But I say, oh, okay. And if I ask them and, question them specifically, well, who were you hoping to meet here? They'd say, well, anybody trying to buy, I'm looking for buyers. Okay. Well, I bumped into 5 on the way in, people who are trying to buy real estate right now. Have you talked to anybody? Have you found anybody? Well, yeah, I've talked to them in the past. Okay. Were you looking for someone new? Like, are you waiting for someone to literally come up and like shake you and, mistakes to avoid when before you go into a networking meeting? Probably one of the more egregious things that I see that happens often is they go into an event not prepared at all. So, Michelle, I see you joined. Tyree, Kevin, nice to see you. The one thing that I see that people could do is very simply they go in to an event without a business card. Okay, so they're there, and this is a business card that a banker dropped off to me a little bit ago today. I didn't get a chance to connect with him, but at least he showed up with a plan. His plan was to show up, meet with me. Now, granted, I hate when people drop into my office. That bugged me, but at least he dropped off a card. At least he came somewhat prepared. Now, I wasn't ready to network with him because I had a busy day. But here's one thing: I run into investors all the time that are just flat not seriously. Hey, there's my bride. Hey, Jenny Dolfini, good to see you. So one of the things that I see is they're showing up to these networking events and they're just flat not prepared. Now, obviously, I already talked about having a plan, but secondly, they show up without a business card. Now, here's one thing. I'm not going to show the card itself. I'm going to kind of cover the name up, but this is a piece of paper, okay? And honestly, I would rather do business with this young man. And the reason was he may not know specifically what his business is. He doesn't even really, I think he put on here, honestly, he just put on here that he's trying to sell a house. So it looks like a house he's trying to flip or just maybe wholesale or something. But he was intentional. He went and he didn't have business cards. So what he did was, exactly, Jennifer, always bring a damn card, right? But what he did was he printed off, I don't know, 12 on a sheet of paper and cut them into business card sized slips, right? That he then handed out. So, okay, it's not the most professional. I wouldn't want him to hand these out on all the time. But if you're in a pinch, dude, show up with something. He was prepared. I mean, even though this isn't the most professional thing, he's showing me that he's intentional, that he's serious about his business. And I really give him a lot of credit for that. So, and Kevin, if you're watching this, and I even said during the networking event, dude, this shows me that you're serious about being a real estate investor. If you're showing up and you don't give me any way to connect with you again, or, I give you my card and you have nothing to offer in return. I've shown up to networking events and the worst thing, I run out of cards, or, I'm in I meet a lot more people than I was expecting. So of course I don't have enough cards. That does happen. But always, you should have a stash somewhere in your bag, in your vehicle. I usually keep mine under my front seat so I know where they are. So I always keep them. So, if you're just joining us, again, these are some networking mistakes that you should always avoid. Number one is going in without a plan. Number two, going in without business cards. That is a rookie mistake when you're doing this. Probably beyond that, the next most egregious thing that I see when they're going or attending networking events is they tend to monopolize someone's time. Now, in the speed networking thing that I helped host in the REIA, I didn't host it, I shouldn't say that, but I basically ran it, emceed it, I guess would be the proper term. So I helped run this meeting. But I kept cutting it off after roughly 5 to 10 minutes. I made it different every single time just because I wanted people to be able to have short conversations and be able to extract themselves. But I also wanted it long enough to where they could have one conversation with one person and then break away and then move on to a conversation with someone else, right? The thing that was really interesting to me is that there's a lot of people who are just not naturally comfortable about breaking away from the conversation. And I get that, right? You don't want to be a jerk about it, but you also want to make sure that there's another person that you potentially want to meet. So, it's okay. Give yourself permission to say, it was really great chatting with you. I'm going to go ahead and network with some other people. You don't need to say, I'm definitely going to connect with you. You're an amazing person. I love you. Like, don't be weird about it. Just say, hey, it was really great chatting with you. I'm going to go weird about it. Just tell them, hey, I'm going to go ahead and network with other people. They will appreciate you being authentic when you say, hey, yeah, it's not like you're marrying this person. Just go ahead and tell them that you're going to break away from the conversation. And monopolizing someone else's conversation is one of the worst mistakes that you can make in a networking environment. I always use this analogy. Again, we're talking about, if you're just joining us, we're talking about critical networking mistakes that I often see, no matter what the networking event is. But I often talk about the internal clock that a quarterback has, right? So that quarterback will have that, that 1,000, 2,000, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003 throw, right? They're throwing that ball within 3 seconds, right? They have that internal clock. So it's like, you should have that internal clock as well. So you should have a little bit of back and forth, but within a couple of minutes, you should know that you should start to wrap up the conversation and head off to another person. Now, I'm not saying that you need to try to work the whole room, because that's another mistake that a lot of people make. And honestly, it happens a lot with people who tend to be more outgoing, where they try to meet as many people as possible. And we all know in like college, like in our early 20s, like you're that guy that's trying to work, every girl in the bar. You don't want to be that guy or girl where you're trying to work every room in the bar, or every person in the room, basically. You don't need to work the entire room. That's not what you're trying to do here. You're trying to build enough of a connection with a few critical people. And, if you can get some really good connections with 4 or 5 people in an hour-long networking event, you've done pretty well. If you do more than that, that's great, but I would question on how deep you actually went with those conversations. And quite frankly, are you going to be able to follow up with, if you get 15 or 20 business cards, are you going to really be able to have the time to follow up with 15 or 20 people in a deep and meaningful manner? Right? You're following what I'm saying? Because realistically, they don't want to feel like they're being sold to. If you're networking only for the object of selling to them, you're not going to be as effective as you think. And you're like, dude, I'm a great closer. Okay, great. But again, people like to buy, they don't like to be sold. And you're going to become, you're going to run through a whole list of people, and you're going to be working a lot harder than you need to be. It's just my experience. It's much better to have a deep network of people that really know who you are. They really know that you care about them and their needs. And you're not trying to sell them a bill of goods on something they just don't need. That's the worst type of customer anyway. I don't want to try to convince you that you need me. That's like the worst customer ever. Like, no offense. I want someone that wants my services or my product or whatever it is that I'm offering, because it's going to solve problems for them. It's going to make their life easy for them, that I'm a solutions-based seller, and they know that I care about them. That's the best type of customer ever, because they'll come to you, they'll tell everybody else about you and everything else. So that's when, if you're making that critical mistake in your networking, that's gonna drastically impact your effectiveness when you're out networking. So again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about some critical networking mistakes. We talked specifically early on, about just right now, I'm just talking about monopolizing people's time. But again, number one, going without a plan. Number two, going without business cards. Again, I was talking about, even if you don't have business cards, I had this little piece of paper that this guy printed off with his name and contact information, which again, he was a young guy, just getting into investing, and he didn't know what he didn't know, but he knew to show up with business cards. So I give him a lot of credit. Kevin, if you're out there, kudos again to you. But the other thing, again, is monopolizing people's time. If you're not aware, if you're not being self-aware, and you're not letting that internal clock get away from you, and you're just kind of cornering that person, like, you're my best friend, I'm never going to leave you, you're not doing yourself or them any justice. You definitely don't want to be monopolizing people's time. If there's one most egregious mistake that I see out there, Tim Hilton, good to see you. Darren Finney, Jeffrey, good to see you. Daniel, Michael Baturney, good to see you. Michael, if you're still there, Michael is he does a really good job repairing appliances in the Lafayette area. So if you have an appliance need, I highly encourage you to reach out to him. He is a good dude. It's good to see you, Michael. So if the one thing that I have, and this is something that I even said during the networking event that I was helping proctor. Okay. I was helping MC. I said, if you're going to make any mistake, this is the one you don't want to make. The absolutely critical mistake that you don't want to make. Otherwise, I'd rather you didn't even come. And that is not following up within 24 hours. Now, I gave everybody in that room a little bit of grace. I said, basically, you need to follow up within 4 hours. But really, my rule of thumb is to try to follow up within 1 hour. Now, it was 7 or 8 o'clock that night. I wasn't feeling super great. I wanted to get home because I had a sore throat, but I did make sure I followed up with everybody that next morning. And I said, what's going to happen is a lot of you are going to go and you're going to get a stack of business cards. I pulled these out. You're going to get a stack of business cards that looks like this. It's going to have a rubber band around them, and it's going to sit on your desk, right? And everyone's collectively nodding, going, yep, that's exactly what happens. Well, what happens to that business card, right? It sits in that stack, and it goes absolutely nowhere. And then maybe in 6 weeks, you go through that card, and you're like, I have no honest clue who any of these people are. Right. And you may as well just throw them all away, because it's not like you're going to keep them or do anything with them at that point, because you have no context in who the hell these people are. Now, what I do, and what you could see on the back of my favorite Kevin's, I wrote, you can't really see it because the light's bleeding it out, but I wrote on the back of his business card the context and how I met him. So it says on here, buyer looking for wholesaler. I put the month in the year, January, 120, and I put REIA, which is the Central Indiana REIA, Real Estate Investors Association. That gives me context in how I met that guy, because I'm not going to, I happen to know who he is, but otherwise, if I didn't know who he was, I would easily lose track of who he was if I didn't put context on there. Okay. So again, if you're just joining us, it's these are some critical networking mistakes that I want you to avoid. But again, the most egregious one, I haven't gotten to that yet. The most egregious one is not following up. Why do you get these people's cards? Why are you connecting with them? Why are you learning about all about what they do if you're not going to follow up with them? Now, what I would say is, if you have no connection to them whatsoever, right? A lot of times I'll get, for what I have no idea why, but you'll get people who are in cryptocurrency that show up to these real estate investor meetings. No clue why cryptocurrency and real estate. I don't get it. But again, I don't want to get it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not anything I'm interested in. But like, if you're giving me a card and saying you trade cryptocurrency, and I'm like, okay, cool, nice to meet you, right? I'm not going to feel overly compelled to reach back out to them. I have no reason to connect him to anything else. Like, I just don't, right? But if there's somebody that is in the real estate space, or if they're a wholesaler or whatever it is, what's up, Branham? Firehawk. Branham knows what that means. Inside joke. Sorry, buddy. But seriously, if this is a real estate investor, okay, Nick Demos, thanks for joining. If you're a real estate investor and you give me a card, I'm at least going to drop you an email and say, hey, great connecting with you last night. Look forward to running into you again in the future. If I have no intention of otherwise doing business with them, I'll at least say that, right? Because I at least want to follow up with them. Now, I'm going to try to keep, again, in context of who they are, how I keep people straight. That's a whole other conversation. But again, not following up with people is one of the I would rather you not go. Now, here's the funny thing. I even said to these people, don't make this egregious mistake. Don't make this egregious mistake and not follow up with people. I probably handed my business card out to no less than, I would say, a dozen people at that meeting. I had 2 people reach back out to me, 2 out of the dozen. And I even said, don't make this egregious mistake. This is the most egregious mistake, because again, all you've done is waste time. Now, again, maybe I offended them to some point where they never want to reach out to me. Maybe they thought I was a jerk. Wouldn't be the first time. Maybe they had no interest in reaching out to me because they thought I couldn't help them. Okay, that's fine. But I would still rather them just say, hey, great meeting you, blah, 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 just again, to show me that you're serious about what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just going to become another name that gets thrown in the trash after I've reached out to you and you didn't reach back out to me. There was maybe 3 or 4 private money lenders that I could literally hand deals to today But I'm not going to do that if I reach out to you, which they did, and they didn't reach back out to me because I have no idea. Are they swamped? Do they have broken infrastructure? Do they have no process to keep up with their email? If they can't get back with me, I'm not going to give them my clients that are ready. And I mean, these are my coaching clients. These are my practically my children, right? I'm not going to give them off to somebody that is not going to take care of them. I want to know that they're going to be well taken care of. So what's my incentive to hand feed them business, right? So, next, there's too many private money lenders right now to not be well taken care of. So that's why I'm saying, Kim Beezer, good to see you. Kim, how long have you been in real estate? You've been in real estate, I think, longer than I've been alive. And you're like 23, right? Kim's been in real estate a really long time. So anyway, but it's the thing that I would highly encourage you, though. Again, these are all networking mistakes I want you to avoid. And I just want to make sure that you are familiar with, what your plan is when you're going in, that you're not going to monopolize someone's time once you're there, right? Again, you basically, you are going to, again, go with business cards, right? Don't make sure you don't do that. And then, for God's sakes, if you're going to get someone's business cards, at least have the decency to follow up with them, right? Don't say, oh yeah, I totally love everything about you. Let's totally do it. And if you have no interest in what they do, like these cryptocurrency guys, or no offense, the CBD people that reach out to me on Facebook Messenger every 11 minutes. My God. I mean, is there nothing else for sale on Facebook other than CBD oil? No offense if that's your thing, but that's not my thing. Trust me. If I wanted CBD oil, I would, I would know quite easily who to go out to. I'm not being funny with that, but it's just, I don't see what the point is if your only mechanism is through Facebook Messenger and you're not getting out there and gripping and grinning with actual people. Okay. So that's all I have for tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining me, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. Again, it is, I really appreciate all my close friends supporting me and everything that I'm doing. And if you are interested in a membership, just simply go to the easy link is go to landlordcoach.com/members. You can actually, if you are a current member, you can go ahead and sign in there. If you're a premium and coaching member, you can also sign in there. If you want to sign up there, you can go in there and there's another link to sign in there. So, or sign up. If you sign up now, you get, it's normally $9 a month, or if you want to do the $99, you get a month for free. That'll get you an annual membership, and really, really cool stuff in there. Lots of videos for those of you who are interested in getting into the real estate space. You'll get access to the private landlord coach room that I just set up, and some other things here. So Kim Beezer starting their 20th year. I think I've got a year on you in real estate. How is that possible, Kim? I think I'm 21 years this year. No, am I 21? So it's 2020. Yeah, I started it. Bought my first real estate investment. Well, technically, I bought my first real estate investment in rental property in Lafayette in 1999. So I bought it in 98. Bought it in 98. So this is my 22nd year. But I actually bought my first piece of land when I was 25. No, it was 24 because it was a piece of, I was still in the Marine Corps. So, however long that's been, I don't know. Feel like I'm 105 now. So anyway, but Kim, you are a rock star in the real estate world. So I know that you do a lot and you are a fine realtor. So if you're looking for a realtor, Kim is a great choice in Lafayette. So, that's all I have for tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining me. Please remember to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. So have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time. Thanks again.